I'm proud of Kris Jenner for finally standing up to her daughters. It's no secret on the Kardashians that the famous sisters each have decided opinions about their mother's parenting choices. Their passive-aggressive jabs at Kris Jenner about her decisions as a mother have become a trope on the family reality series. And the topic of parenting and motherhood is frequently raised as all the sisters are in some stages of parenting, except for model Kendall Jenner, who is still committed to the role of fun aunt. I've noticed that as the Kardashian sisters have embraced therapy, their criticism of their mother has become increasingly poignant. But after years of suffering not-so-subtle jabs and relative silence, Kris is finally hitting back at her opinionated daughter's comments. In Season 6, Kris has made it clear that she is not receptive to learning new ways to parent in her advanced years, even for the benefit of her young grandchildren. Not only is Kris refusing to learn any new techniques, but the entertainment industry's busiest momager is hitting back at her daughter's opinions this season. And to be honest, I'm kind of proud of her. The Kardashians is full of parenting advice. From the first seasons of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, when Kourtney Kardashian's first pregnancy was featured on the series, to the birth of her most recent child with husband Travis Barker on the Kardashians, everyone's favorite bratty family has always been full of parenting advice. Each of the sisters has suffered traumatic experiences in their own ways, from the early loss of Robert Kardashian Sr., from dealing with their partner's addiction issues, or from more specific events like Kim Kardashian's infamous robbery in Paris. Then having to relive the experiences over and over when they arise in the media again comes with its own mental burden as well. It has been gratifying to see, as the family has increased in number over the years, that gradually they have embraced therapy as they are learning to parent a new generation, with Kourtney somewhat leading the charge and Kendall somehow taking the credit. But as the siblings have each embraced therapy in their own way, one consistent trait has emerged, as each of them has begun to voice concerns about their mother's choices over the years. All except Kylie Jenner, who continues to side with her mother at all times in her bratty bid to maintain her status as the favorite daughter. And it seems that Kris has finally had enough. Instead of slapping a stiff smile on her face, grinning through clenched teeth like usual until she can presumably berate her kids off camera, Kris has been hitting back this season on the Kardashians. Kris is hitting back at her daughters this season. When Kourtney was discussing co-sleeping with her baby, Kris clocked the subtle shade towards her parenting choice to put her kids in their own bed in their own rooms, and laughingly told her daughter what a horrible mother she had been for giving them privacy. Kris then confessed in a talking head that in the 1980s parents had boundaries and followed a schedule, and made sure that the adults had time to themselves in the evening, gushing about how great it was in a way that assured viewers she was not interested in learning Kourtney's modern parenting vibe. Although Kris' stubborn refusal to take Kourtney's hints on board speaks to their fractured dynamic, I think it's fair for Kris to point out her own perspective rather than continue to go along with her daughter's passive-aggressive observations. Earlier in the season, when Kourtney brought her mother to a hobby farm to bond with her grandchildren, it was pretty clear that Kris was overwhelmed by the noise level the young children were capable of. As Kris struggled to keep tabs on the children running through a corn maze, her anxiety set in, and she became flustered at the thought of losing one of her critical daughter's kids. By the time it was over, Kris had enough, and she was barking that the children had better hurry to the van, and threatening they would be left behind. Kourtney softly suggested no one would be abandoned, but grandmother Kris didn't seem open to learning the gentle way to gather a large group of children. When Khloe Kardashian started to critique her mother's penchant for abandoning kids in a later episode, Kris muttered that the good American founder was starting to sound like Kourtney. When Khloe was sharing stories about feeling abandoned by her mother as a child, Kris snapped in a confessional that the experience Khloe was speaking about was her being dropped off at camp. Kris then lectured that her children need to appreciate the experiences she gave them as kids, and how those experiences shaped them into who they are. True to form, even after Khloe continued to speak about her abandonment issues in the episode, Kris bailed on the family camping trip in the middle of the night, leaving Kim and Khloe in the desert to return on her own to her glamorous Hidden Hills mansion. I think it's great that Kris continues to evade the responsibility that her therapized children try to pin on her, laughingly telling them in her boomer way to essentially toughen up and move on. Kris may have some things to learn about gentle parenting, but I'm proud the momager is finally standing up to